Okay, hello. Here to help Nixie build a new Dark Magician deck as an exercise in deck building, and also how do we get into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh? How do we play it? How do we have a deck that feels not super great to play and then turn it into something that does feel nice? Last week we worked on Nathy's deck and were able to get that for hire deck into a place where we could consistently make plays. So looking at doing the same thing for this Dark Magician deck. The bigger obstacle here is that Dark Magician is not an archetype that I am super familiar with as like a player. I know the Dark Magician search like Thousand Knives or Dark Magic Blast or Dark Magic Attack, whatever it is, to blow stuff up. I have never really considered Dark Magician an archetype that is really capable of doing a lot. But with the new Dark Magician of Destruction, with the old Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, and a few combos that I watched on YouTube, there is a lot that Dark Magician can do here. And it kind of depends on what you pair it with and how you decide to go about building it. So I want to quickly go over the deck that we were given as our starter deck, and then a couple of options that we have built up into our decks. So first off is this deck on the left here. This is Nixie's starter Dark Magician deck, and this is basically straight out of the structure deck. What it has in terms of things that are really good: Magician Souls is an awesome starter. Magician's Rod is kind of the normal sum that you want from this deck. And other than that, we do have like the Illusion of Chaos that allows you to either draw a couple cards or send something to the graveyard. It's pretty solid. The other stuff that it has is it's got like an Eternal Soul thing to help you get some Dark Magicians out. Same with Dark Magician Circle, which is really helpful in this build because everything is basically Dark Magician. Doesn't have a lot of anything else. There's no hand traps here. Our extra deck has the Dark Magician monsters, which you're not going to see the text of because it's off to the left of the screen there, but it's got a D-Mod, it's got a Master of Chaos, it does not have a Dragoon, there's a Miasma Necromancer as a rare in there, but it's a little unbuilt. So what's likely to happen here if you open this up is you might have one or two starters and not too much to defend yourself. So from here, what we want to do is we're going to try to cut out the cards that are not really going to help us. And I want to point a couple of those out because I don't want to seem like I'm taking stuff out just for the purpose of taking it out. Let's go ahead and make this actually full screen here because I want to talk about Magic Karibo. This is a card that I was debating keeping in because you can do something really clever by, like, you get a monster on the field, going to battle, taking damage with something, preferably something that's in defense position, and then using this as like a main phase 2 extender. But turn 1, it doesn't really help you that much, and it keeps some of the better cards from being in your hand. So ultimately, I decided to take this one out. Dark Magician Girl doesn't actually really do a lot for you in this build. We're going to replace this with, in both of our builds, the Dark Magician Gold Sarcophagus version, which does have a good effect, which is something you want to see all the time. Apprentice Illusion Magician is something that is okay, but the fact that you do have to go -1 in a deck that isn't necessarily going to be plussing off of that discard is a little tough. It's fine. I have looked at the builds and I have concluded that there are other stronger starters. So if you need to put this in, I think you can. It's not fantastic. Timaeus is very similar in that if you do special summon it, it's gonna cost a card, and I mean, ideally, you Magical Circle, get something, and then send that for Timaeus, which does make sense, but then you have to fusion summon stuff from hand or field as material. So not only are you going -1, you're also using it and something else as material, so you're kind of going -2 to bring out a fusion monster, which is just really inefficient for the plays that this deck is capable of producing. Thousand Knives and Dark Magic Attack, they're good cards, but they're not the focal point. And Magician of Chaos, I believe it is. Sorry, yeah, Master of Chaos. Master of Chaos is actually capable of basically doing the same thing. Master of Chaos can banish all monsters your opponent controls, and I think this is the way that you want to be doing your board wipes. So if you do need that board wipe, I think you want to be relying on Master of Chaos, which is a little easier to access in the extra deck than searching a Thousand Knives or a Dark Magic Attack. Preparation of Rites, I didn't realize, is actually fantastic in this build. Pre-Preparation of Rites is something that I thought would be a little bit stronger because Preparation of Rites gets you a Ritual spell card and the Ritual monster, which makes it amazing. And if we're playing multiple Illusion of Chaos, it's likely that we'll have a target for it pretty much every time. But for reasons I'll go into, we're not running pre-prep. We're going to be running Preparation of Rites here. Eye of Timaeus is, I think this is like okay. I think it's like probably one of like the bottom like 15 cards in this deck as is constructed. I think it's something you can use, but I'm not sure how searchable it is. So I'm leaving it as kind of like a maybe if you want to put it in there if you find ways to do it. I don't know the combos that use it, but I do know that there are other combos. Magicalized Fusion is very much in the same field. It's a great extender. Magicalized Fusion, but I don't know how searchable it is, so I'm wary of just putting it in here as a normal spell that may or may not get you value on your first turn. Chaos Form allows you to summon Illusion of Chaos, which I think is like okay. It is a negate once it's on the field, but I believe that the combos that Dark Magician wants to be doing don't actually involve ritual summoning Illusion of Chaos. So we have cut this one. You might be able to add in pre-prep and Chaos Form as a way to access Illusion of Chaoses and put them on field. I don't think that's a bad thing to do. I just have not seen it being used in the combos that I was able to look up. Same thing with Dark Magical Circle. This is a card that I really want to talk about because in this deck list, it's perfectly fine. It's look at the top of your deck, grab the card that is best out of the top 3, and then add it to your hand, which is really good. Like that's a really good just spell card to be able to activate. As well, it also has the target and banish whenever you summon a monster, which is great. The reason that this is not going to make it into either of the builds that I end up with is that there are simply not enough Dark Magician cards in order to make this a guaranteed search, which means the odds of you wasting it are too high to put in, which is a little rough. This is like a good card. I mean, it's a good card. Like it gets you it replaces itself and then potentially banishes. So it's like a 1.5 card. You go plus about like a half a card a duel, but there are more consistent ways to do the thing that it's trying to let you do. So generally through, I believe, the Soul Servant combo. So I've removed this one. It is a good card, but if you are running less than like 20 Dark Magician cards, I think it's a little risky. Secrets of Dark Magic, I think, is actually like the strongest like card in the deck, and that's not true. Its ability to just do whatever is crazy though. This is how you're going to be summoning Illusion of Chaos if you want to, but I think most of the time you're just going to be fusion summoning. Soul Servant is awesome. You're going to be running this at 2. Gaze of Timaeus is really nice. Dark Magic Talisman, I like. Maybe it doesn't work the way that I think, but it reads just set this card, and then if your opponent does something that tries to negate you, it negates that. So I think that that's really cool. It might not work like that, and if it doesn't, then maybe that's the downside to it. But I have left this at 1 in one of the builds. And then Eternal Soul is unfortunately it should be like True Light, but it is like it really is the rare version of True Light's super rare. It's just too big of a target. It destroys everything that you own if it leaves the field. So not great. The monsters in the extra deck, the ones that really just don't make the cut generally are Dark Magicians, which I think it doesn't go into anything else. So it's a bit of an end board piece that doesn't do. It's a little easy to work around. And I think Dark Magician of Knight of Dragon Magic, this is like a battle phase effect. It's just this is probably the worst card to end on. Quintet Magician is also just very difficult to summon. You're basically never going to be summoning it. So the summoning condition of 5 spellcaster monsters is just a reason why. With one exception, we're probably not going to be playing that. So now that we've covered the first draft, let me go ahead and talk about the builds that I came up with. The first one is going to be the slightly cheaper version. There are going to be some URs that I'm going to recommend here, but generally speaking, these are going to be ultra rares that are very much staple URs. You're going to be able to play a lot of them in just about any deck. And so let's go ahead and talk about those. There are 3 archetypes that are in here in this upgraded deck. That's going to be the Dark Magician stuff that you mostly already have. There's going to be a Bestial package. These are just very strong hand trap cards that also provide some board presence, and board presence that your deck specifically is going to be able to make use of. The third one is going to be the Gold Sarcophagus monsters, which are Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl monsters. Or I guess not Gold Sarc, Shining Sarcophagus. These work very well with the Dark Magician. These are kind of a must-have if you are going to be building out this Dark Magician deck. So whatever you put in, I super recommend that you go into the Shining Sarcophagus pack, get some Shining Sarcophagus cards. These are going to be a huge help to you building this Dark Magician deck and making it work properly. The other thing is going to be the Bestials. As a fourth thing, there is going to be a Synchro package consisting of Baron de Fleur, Bestial Despotter, and Crimson Dragon. I highly recommend investing into these as well, because this is basically a very simple, very powerful Synchro package that, if you're able to access, is going to give you 2 negates. It's going to make your end board extremely strong, and Baron de Fleur might be banned soon anyways, so you'll just get the UR dust back if you make it. So highly recommend looking at these, because Crimson Dragon is the hallmark of just about any annoying-ass Synchro deck that will just win the game going turn 1, and Baron de Fleur is kind of the same thing. Okay, so let's talk about the hand trap lineup. In the first version of the deck, there were no hand traps. Whatever you do, I recommend filling out like an assortment of hand traps that's going to be helping you in just about every deck. Max C, 3 Foolos, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, as well as these Droll and Lockbirds here. Right now, there's the Challengers Selection Pack. There's a Staples Pack that allows you to get like Fuas, Ashes, these other very powerful staple cards that you can kind of slot in. This is kind of like the meta, like these are the cards that everyone's running because they're too good. That's the Maxi, the Fua, the Ash. I highly recommend getting some of those. If you can't, fill them out with whatever other hand traps you have. But I mean, these are going to kind of give you your best chances of winning going first. Or if you have Maxi, going first, or sorry, going second, or going first. Either way, they're pretty versatile. I highly recommend you have them. Droll and Lockbird is probably like the best Floodgate trap hole. It's not Maxi. Floodgate trap hole? Floodgate hand trap. That's what I meant to say. It preventing your opponent from drawing cards. There's a fair number of decks that will just kind of fold to that. So that, in addition to the Bestials are a always present set of dragon hand traps that are just very strong. You'll love putting dragons out in the field and messing with your opponent's graveyard. Other than that, you will notice that we have really significantly cut down on the amount of cards. As we've talked about, we've got 3 Magician's Rods. This is going to be your normal summon. If you get a Soul Servant, or if you get a Soul Servant, then you can put the Magician's Rod on top of your hand and then draw it with the Soul Servant, so that you are able to make sure that your normal summon is drawn from your deck if you don't already have it. That's kind of cool. So you have 5 cards that are going to get you into that normal summon. Magician's Souls and Illusion of Chaos are going to be your other starters. So right there, you've got 3, 6, 8, 10 starters, as well as the Dark Magician Girl, the Magician's Apprentice. That's going to go into the Shining Sarcophagus cards. This is kind of the bulk of your Dark Magician stuff. This is how you're going to start getting your Dark Magician into the graveyard or on the field. You're going to get some bodies, and you are going to support it with the Magician Salvation, Eye of Timaeus, Branded Regained. You should be able to access the... Oh, you know what? Wait, does Branded Regained... Actually, I think something searches Branded Regained. Fuck, what is it? I think it's like Bestial Rebellion, but that's another UR. Okay. But yeah, you're going to supplement these... you're going to supplement these starters with the extenders with Eye of Timaeus, Magician Salvation, Branded Regained. We're also going to have Primite Drill Beam and Primite Roar in here. We are not running the other Primite cards, but these cards, I believe, can be used with Dark Magician once you have it like in rotation. So, if you Primite Roar, you can make sure that your Dark Magician isn't going to be destroyed, and then you can banish a monster. Primite Drill Beam, if you have a Dark Magician in your hand, then you are going to be able to negate the effects of something. So this is kind of I think in your case, it'd probably be a powerful going second tool. If you're able to get a Dark Magician into your hand. If you find that these don't really work, if you're not able to consistently get Dark Magicians where you want them to be, you can swap them out for other stuff. But I think for right now, these are going to be okay. Dark Magic Talisman, again, to protect your guys. I kind of like the idea of that, but yeah, that's how we are doing the main deck stuff. I don't want to yap too much about like the specific extenders, because I'll be honest, a number of these cards, like if you took out the Magician Salvation and replaced it with something else, sure, like I don't think that would really be too terrible. If Eye of Timaeus isn't working out for you, if Primate Roar isn't working out for you, take them out. That's fine. That's not really the important part. The more important part is like, why did I take out the Eternal Soul? It's because it doesn't really support the deck very well. So the cards that support it, I took out, and as well as I took it out. But the more important thing to talk about is the extra deck, because we have revamped and cut down the extra deck a little bit. There are a few URs in here, and I want to point out the ones that are most important. First, getting a second Demod and getting a couple of Dark Dragoons is probably pretty important, although I think you might be able to just work off of like one Dragoon, one Dark Magician of Destruction. I believe you're going to need Gaze of Timaeus. I believe you're going to need Secrets of Dark Magic in order to summon Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. So we're not running Red Eyes Fusion. We're not running Verte for this. We're going to be using the Secrets of Dark Magic. But that should be able to get you out of Dark Dragoon, and that's obviously a very, very powerful end board piece. There is this synchro set that I talked about earlier, Baron, Bestial Despotter, Crimson Dragon, and I believe the idea is that if you have two bodies on field, like you normal summon your Magician's Rod, you link it off for this Artemis Magistus Moon Maiden. She doesn't do anything as far as I can tell, other than just put a link monster on board, and then you can special summon Magistus Chirozzo. Once you special summon Magistus Chirozzo, if you have your level 6, I believe that's the Dark Magician girl here, then you can go into Baron de Fleur, and you're also supposed to go into Master of Chaos. You're supposed to go into Master of Chaos next, I believe, to get the Magistus Chirozzo out and then destroy. I gotta brush up on the combo, but I think yeah. Maybe I should not stop talking. Maybe I should stop talking before I like really just bungle the combo that I watched 2 hours ago for 15 minutes. But yeah, you should be able to get Baron de Fleur, Bestial Dispatter, and Magistus Chirozzo. The point being is that Magistus Chirozzo, Master of Chaos, and the synchro monsters here, these all work together in order to get this synchro package out. So if you're going to be taking out this Baron, this Bestial Dispatter, this Crimson Dragon, the Magistus Chirozzo should also go with it, because the Magistus Chirozzo is there to get into your synchros, and the Master of Chaos is a way for you to work with Magistus Chirozzo to get those out. So you want to keep in Master of Chaos regardless, but these 4 cards work together. I just wanted to point that out. Little Knight here is not necessary strictly, but she's just like the best Link 2 in the game, so I recommend getting her for basically any deck, as like anything, your 15th card in your extra deck has to be better than SP Little Knight, because otherwise just put in SP Little Knight. That's kind of how deck building works in this day and age. Timaeus is a really useful combo piece, so we're keeping it in. Dark Magician, the Knight of Dragon Magic, and Dark Magicians I don't think are very good relative to the other cards, but I think they can live in here since you already have them, and maybe they end up being something that you have to pivot into. But Demod and Dark Dragoon are your best cards in the extra deck. Master of Chaos and Timaeus, the United Magical Dragon, these are your other 2 that you're really looking to use to extend your combos. And then Chirozzo and the Synchros provide more end board pieces. Yeah, so that's the first deck that we have built here. This one should be a little bit lighter on the URs. I know that I have recommended quite a few: Maxi, Bestial Magnum Hut, the Shining Sarc cards, and then a bunch of extra deck pieces. But these are cards that you're going to be using significantly, like in a lot of other contexts as well. Really, other than the Shining Sarcophagus cards, those are really the only ones that are quite specific to this deck. Now, the other deck that I have here is a deck that is very similar, but it's going to include a larger Primite package and a super polymerization suite. So what does that mean? In the previous deck that I showed you, there is Primite Drillbeat and Primite Roar. These kind of don't work super well by themselves. You're going to have to tell me if they work at all. But with this Primite suite, we have 3 Lordly Loads, which searches you a Primite card and can get you a normal monster. And Primite Dragon Ether Barrel is a normal summon that can get you access to the Primite cards. This normal summon gets you Lordly Load. It's going to get you your access to your Dark Magician. It's going to get you access to your Drill Beam, which is a really, really, really powerful negate. And Roar as well is going to help you really turn this deck into something that can get into whatever it wants, whenever it wants. We have basically just cut down on like the amount of Magician's Rods and all of the other extraneous Dark Magician cards, mostly the spell cards. So for Dark Magician, we're running 1 Secrets of Dark Magic and 2 Gaze of Timaeus. These quick play cards are going to be your bread and butter for getting through your Dark Magicians, but you still have like the Soul Servant and Shining Sarcophagus stuff as well. Still very powerful, but this gives you another level in terms of power level of your deck. Primite Drill Beam is a card that with Primite Lordly Load and Primite Dragon Ether Barrel on the field will be able to come back every single turn and negate and banish something from your opponent's side of the field every single turn, and it is one of the most annoying cards in Modern Memory to deal with. And the fact that your deck is running a normal monster, it's running the Dark Magician, makes it a fantastic addition to this Dark Magician build. The other thing that I have put in here, again, is the super polymerizations. This is one of the strongest board breakers. It's a incredible defense. If you're going first, you can just set the super polymerization. It's a fantastic interruption because it can't be responded to by either player's card effects. So you are going to be including in this extra deck Mud Dragon of the Swamp and Garura Wings of Resonant Life. These are the two most generic targets for super polymerization, because with Garura, if your opponent has two monsters with the same type or attribute but different names, say they're running a Cybers deck and they have multiple light Cybers monsters on the field, like if it's Malice, right? And you can just do super polymerization. Two of them are now off the board. You replaced it with Garura, which has a separate effect of drawing you a card when it's sent to the graveyard in any way. So that's awesome. Mud Dragon of the Swamp is your backup. If they have two monsters with the same attribute but different types, there are all sorts of monsters out there that work really well with super polymerization, because the idea is you're going to be fusing monsters from your opponent's field. But in a pinch, you can also fuse monsters from both sides of the field. It's going to take a weird board state for that to happen, but this is kind of like the reason why you might be running a Quintet Magician, because if your opponent's running a Spellcaster heavy build and you're running a Spellcaster heavy build, then they might give you the Spellcasters you need for Quintet Magician. Still didn't make it in here, but I just wanted to point that out. That's kind of why that's in here. Now, I do want to emphasize that this is a very expensive package. The 3 URs for super polymerization plus the Garura Rings of Resonant Life, that's 120 UR dust. That is a lot if you don't have the gems to get it. I completely understand. However, this is a very, very generically powerful card. It can help you bridge into your combos, which makes it a fantastic choice of inclusion for this deck. It's a great way to start. You can take away some of your opponent's negates. You can use it to go into one of your like early, if they have a dragon, then you can go Dark Magician plus something with Super Poly. It's just a really, really good starter. So expensive, but very good. You'll be able to use it in a number of other decks. So this is a very staple card. Primite Lordly Load. This is the searcher for the Primites, which makes your deck so much more consistent. This card means you're never really going to be in a position where you just don't have the stuff to do your combo. Even if I think you open like Ether Barrel plus Drill Beam, you can still get a Roar. You can still get all your Primite cards out. You're going to get access to your Dark Magicians. So this is like the most toned down, most powerful deck that I have been able to see here. Again, it uses the Dark Magician suite with one Magician's Rod as a normal summon. Primite Dragon Ether Barrel is your other normal summon. This is going to get access to the Primite stuff, which is also going to get you access to the Dark Magician stuff. These Shining Sarcophagus monsters are going to continue your ability to play into combos and get more of your extra deck pieces out. Same thing with Illusion of Chaos. Yeah, this is like the best I think that you can whittle down the deck, and in terms of making it do a lot of really cool plays. However, I will just warn that the plays that are in here are not like super well mapped out by me. So I know that you can turn like a normal summon Magician's Rod into a Master of Chaos, into a like Baron de Fleur, Bestial Dispatter. I don't know exactly how everything goes. I know that you can turn the Magician's Rod into the Dark Magician of Destruction, which gets you into a bear. I don't know. It's a little bit beyond me. I'm not the Dark Magician player, but if this is a deck that would seem appealing for you to play, it's really strong on both the play and the draw. I think you'll like it a lot. Again, it's the most expensive one, but if you do end up going with this one, let me know how it goes. And let me know what you thought was good about it, what was bad about it, and I will take that information and log it for my future Dark Magician deck build recommendations. I'll also send over a video from the people that I got some inspiration from for this that'll show you some combos and plays against current decks, and hopefully that'll make it a little easier to understand exactly where the ideas for this are coming from. But Yeah, cool. Thank you for hanging out and tuning in and hearing what I have to say about this Dark Magician build. Quite new to me, but hopefully the sub engines in here make sense to you with the Primites and the Shining Sarcophaguses and the Super Polys and the Synchro Suites. So if they don't, let me know. Always looking to learn more. Always looking to find better ways to help people get into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a game I love, and I hope one day it's a game you love as well. Yeah, that'll be it for me. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I appreciate it. Love you all. Mwah.